the Sisters of Battle's Order of the Sacred Rose, an angelic and graceful-looking, yet extremely disciplined, resolute, and viciously calm fighting force. They are known as defensive specialists that excel at holding ground while conducting grinding operations as a steadfast bastion against overwhelming odds through their unwavering resolve that always inspires other Imperial forces to rally. So don't be fooled by their grace or the songs they sing while they purge, but realize it is to drown out the screams and suffering of the heretics and Xenos that they have left fallen in their path. Brothers and sisters of the Warhammer universe, welcome back to Tortuga's Grim Rosaline. My name is Jeff, and today is going to be a special video. And not just because it's the beginning of December and we're getting closer and closer to Christmas. No, today it's because I'm doing a piece that is outside of what I've normally done and doing new techniques for it. And the reason is I'm going to be donating this piece to an auction that's going to help with teenagers and children that are recovering from cancer. The piece I'm doing is a Sister of Battle Order of the Sacred Rose. So I'm a little nervous with it because it's new, but I think you're going to enjoy it. And don't forget, end of December, we're going to be doing that full resin WarpLord Titan. And just in between, I kind of feel like I want to squeeze in something a little special that's been in the back of my mind of a couple different builds all together as one. But before we get into this video, I need you to do those YouTube things that you do so well. Down below, click on like, share, subscribe. And now that that's all done, let's do this. So here's a list of all the paints that we'll be using on this build. We're going to start off with Vallejo's Game Air Dead White. We've already primed this with Vallejo Black, and now we're going to go over and do the base color of Bonewhite. And try not to spray over the black tape art, but if you do, don't worry, we're going to use that black primer again later on. Next, we're going to use Citadel's Technical Striland Mud. So we're going to be using the sterling mud on the tape art, and we're not using it for color. We're going to use this to add texture and filth on the tape art. We're going to go heavy towards the bottom of the tape art and gradually lighter the higher up we go. Next up is Vallejo's Black Primer. We're now going to go back to the black primer, and generally I don't paint with primers, but I really like this dull effect it has, and we're going to paint back over the tape art any of the overspray from the white and to cover up the sterling mud. And with a quick once over, I think we're off to a good start. Next is Villainy Inc.'s Goon's Grime. We're now going to airbrush Goon's Grime on the body of the Sister of Battle. We're going to try to stay away from her head and the upper part of the staff. After letting the Goon's Grime sit for about 15 minutes, we're going to follow back up with a bunch of dry Q-tips. And we're going to start rubbing around, making sure if any of the Goon's Grime that got onto the head of the Sister of Battle, as well as all the armor. You're going to try to keep the Goon's Grime into the crevices between armor areas and any of the flat areas. We want to try to get as much off as possible. This is going to be the start of the weathered look to the white armor that we're going to be going for. Next is Citadel's Coelia Greenshade. We're going to be using our Coelia Green in our airbrush, and we're going to be spraying from ground up, just hitting the undersides of the armor with a light version of green. We're then going to take a Q-tip with a very little amount of isopropyl alcohol. I'd even touch it to the paper towel before putting it onto the miniature. And we're going to dab, very lightly dab, not rub, but dab in your areas where there is an excess amount of green. Next up is AK's Streaking Grime. So we're going to load the Streaking Grime into our airbrush, and we're going to go ahead and spray our Sister of Battle again, coating everywhere but the head and the top of the staff with it. So just like the Goon's Grime, after we let this sit for about 15 minutes, we're going to take a series of Q-tips, and we're going to start using dry Q-tips to rub around the flat areas of the armor. We want this to settle in, just like we did with the Goon's Grime, into the crevices, but a little bit more on the armor as well, to give a nice otherworldly weathered effect. Next up is Vallejo's Model Air Copper. So we're going to load the copper into the airbrush, and as you can see, I covered my Sister of Battle with saran wrap, and I put putty over, as I like to call him, the Death Cherub, just to make sure that nothing sprays over onto those areas. We just want to focus the copper spray onto the top of the staff for the cage and the chest. Citadel's Black Templar. So with the Black Templar, I am going to use this to paint the sleeves under the shoulder pads, as well as start painting in the crevices on the tabard, just to give it a little bit more contrast. And of course, we're going to be doing 2 coats of this. Between you and me, I find it really odd doing a video where I'm not talking about the dreaded chaos trim in it, but at least I get to still say 2 thin coats. Next is going to be Citadel's Flayed Worn Flesh. So we're going to be combining the flayed flesh with a thinner, and we're going to go 2 to 3 parts thinner to the flayed flesh. And the reason is we want to make this almost like a wash. And we're going to be applying this to the face of the Sister of Battle, as well as the entire body of the Cherub of Death. And the reason why I'm making this a wash instead of just a thinned out paint is because I don't want to take a chance of losing any definition while applying this to the face. Next up is Citadel's Mephiston Red. So we're going to use the Mephiston Red to paint the 3 purity seals, the 2 on the cage and the 1 on the cherub. And of course, we're going to be doing 2 thin coats of this. Up next is Villainy Inc.'s Ichor of the Damned. We're going to use the Gal Vorbak Red to paint the scrolls off the purity seals, as well as the tabard on the cherub. And of course, just like anything we do, we're going to do 2 thin coats. Next is Vallejo's Model Air Mahogany. We're going to use the mahogany to paint the belt, the holster, the harness, and the staff. And of course, as always, we're going to do 2 thin coats of this. Next is Vallejo's Model Air Gunmetal. We're going to be using the gunmetal to paint the pistol as well as the bolt rifle on the back of the Sister of Battle. And because this is a metallic, we definitely want to do 2 to 3 coats of this to really make that color come out. Up next is Citadel's Leadbelcher and Thinner. So we're going to use the Leadbelcher to paint all of the metallics on the Sister of Battle's armor, including the emblems, as well as the metallics on the pistol and on the bolt rifle. And with another once over, I think everything is coming in really nicely with this piece. Up next is Citadel's Liberator Gold. We're going to use the Retributor armor to paint the emblems on the bolt rifle, as well as the key to the chest on the cherub's chain. Try saying that 3 times fast. And of course, with all metallics, we're always going to want to do 2 thin coats to really try to make that color vibrantly pop out. Next is Vallejo's Game Air Bonewhite. So we're going to use the Bonewhite for the skull of the cherub, as well as the spine running down its back. And that first coat is probably not going to come out clean. It's going to look a bit blotchy, so let's always do a second, and if you need, letting it dry for a bit, a 3rd coat. Next is Villainy Inc.'s Ichor of the Damned. We're going to use this to coat the wings of the cherub as well as the emblems on the Sister of Battle's armor. And then about 15 minutes later, we're going to take a dry Q-tip and wipe off the areas to really help bring out that definition in the wings and on the emblems. Next is Villainy Inc.'s Caput Mortuum. We're going to use the Caput Mortuum on the flesh of the cherub as well as the face on the Sister of Battle. This is going to help bring that warmth in that we're going to want, as well as really bring out more definition. Up next is Greenstuff's World's Bronze Chrome Metal. So we're going to be using this to do all the highlighting on all of the copper and gold pieces. And I just recently started using Green Stuff World on a different project, and I absolutely love this. I'm going to wind up buying all of their chrome metallic lines for highlighting of all my metals in the future. Up next is Vallejo's Model Air Chrome. So we're going to be using the chrome to highlight all the metallics on the Sister of Battle as well as on the pistol and the bolt rifle. Up next is ABT 502's Dust. So we're going to be using the dust to do the highlighting on the cherub's body as well as the face of the Sister of Battle. And seeing this as an oil paint, you just need a little bit on the tip of your brush, and then you can just start blending it into the areas of where you want those highlights to really pick up. And there you have it, a Sister of Battle's Order of the Sacred Rose, giving angelic grace to a vicious, grimdark war. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you might have learned something new that you can add to some of your future pieces. And as I always say, Grim for the Grim Rosaline.